It was only making it official because Taylor's been part of the family now for quite some time.
They both wrote their own vows, and I thought they both did such a fantastic job explaining like telling a story of who they were.
It was an absolutely fabulous, fantastic wedding. It was very touching, very heartfelt.
Kylie Kelsey just stepped up for her new sister-in-law in the most Kylie way possible, and fans could not get enough of it. Taylor Swift has officially been part of the Kelce family for weeks now, but on a recent episode of her own podcast, Kylie made it clear that Taylor has really been family for a lot longer than that, and she was not about to let sensationalist reporting rewrite the story of what her brother-in-law's wedding actually felt like. It was a rare moment of Kylie addressing the wedding directly, and the way she chose her words said just as much as the words themselves. Here's what happened. Speaking on the July 23rd episode of Not Gonna Lie, Kylie opened up about the wedding for the first time in any real detail, and the warmth in her voice was impossible to miss. She offered her congratulations directly, saying it was absolutely magical and that she could not be happier for the two of them.
I would like to say congratulations to Tay and Trav. It was absolutely magical. I'm so happy for them. We love them so, so dearly.
Then came the line that fans have been repeating ever since. She explained that the wedding was not really the beginning of anything new at all, because Taylor has already been part of the family for quite some time. The ceremony, in her words, simply made things official on paper. It was a small sentence, but it said everything about how deeply Taylor has already been folded into this family, long before any wedding planner or venue was ever locked in.
It was only making it official because Taylor's been part of the family now for quite some time.
And Kylie did not stop at warmth. She also made a point of pushing back on the wave of exaggerated, sensational reporting that has followed the wedding ever since the vows were exchanged. Rather than feeding into rumors or half-true insider claims swirling online, she encouraged people to simply go straight to the source, pointing out that whatever details Taylor and Travis actually want to share, they will share on their own terms. It was a pointed but polished way of shutting down speculation without giving away a single new detail herself.
Anything else you can check in with Taylor and Travis about, because any of the details that they want to share, they can share.
She summed the whole thing up by calling it intimate, incredible, and full of love, both between the couple and from everyone else who was lucky enough to be there.
It was intimate and incredible and full of love, both for each other and everybody else's love for them.
It is exactly the kind of protective instinct fans have come to expect from Kylie. She has never been shy about setting boundaries when it comes to her family, and this felt like another example of that same energy, just aimed in a slightly softer direction this time. Rather than snapping at reporters the way she has in the past, she used her own platform to correct the narrative on her own terms, offering just enough warmth to satisfy curious fans while firmly declining to hand over any real details. It is a fine line to walk, being protective without being cold, and Kylie managed to pull it off while still sounding like someone who is genuinely thrilled for her family. So here's everything else that came pouring out of the same news cycle. Because Kylie's comments were far from the only reaction still circulating weeks after the wedding. Because San Francisco 49ers tight end George Kittle offered his own glowing recap the very same week, and it might be one of the most detailed accounts to surface yet. Appearing on his Unbuttoned podcast, Kittle did not hold back, saying the entire thing was fantastic and that he had so much fun.
So it was fantastic. The entire thing was fantastic. I had so much fun.
He attended alongside his wife Claire, along with his own parents and Claire's mother, all of whom had bonded with Taylor and Travis through Tight End University. The annual gathering Kittle helps run alongside Travis and fellow tight end Greg Olsen. Kittle explained that Travis and his father had grown close over the years, and that the mothers of the group were eventually welcomed into Taylor's circle too, spending real time with her at past events and forming a genuine friendship along the way.
Bruce and Travis have had a relationship since we started Tight End U back in 2021, and Travis likes Bruce a lot. But then the moms got invited because of Tight End U last year, where they hung out with Taylor for a long time, and she just really liked them. So that was kind of fun to have like a family outing.
Kittle also gave real insight into the ceremony itself, something few guests have done in this much detail. He described being genuinely moved by the vows, explaining that both Taylor and Travis did an incredible job telling the story of who they were individually before explaining how they came together as a couple. He called it one of the most fun parts of the entire night to witness in person.
They both wrote their own vows, and I thought they both did such a fantastic job explaining like telling a story of, who they were, and then like what they came to be. So that was really fun to see.
And when it came to the officiant, Kittle could not contain his praise either, saying that Adam Sandler absolutely crushed it, admitting he spent much of the ceremony giggling in his seat at how well the whole thing was pulled off.
And Adam Sandler absolutely crushed it. I will say that as well. I was like giggling in my seat, and that was fantastic.
It is a small detail, but it paints a vivid picture, a room full of massive NFL personalities and A-list celebrities, all sitting there quietly cracking up at a comedian's performance in the middle of one of the most guarded weddings in recent memory. Meanwhile, sports commentator Stephen A. Smith delivered what might be the single most enthusiastic review of the wedding from anyone outside the immediate family circle. Speaking on First Take, Smith did not hesitate when asked directly about his experience, confirming he had actually been there in person as a guest of Travis's. He spoke about their friendship in glowing terms, calling Travis his brother from another mother and saying he has nothing but love for him. He also gushed about Taylor, revealing that he had taken his own daughters to see her perform live not once but twice, joking that it cost him a small fortune and that every penny was worth it.
I was there. Travis Kelce invited me. Taylor Swift is wonderful. I took my daughters to a concert twice, not once. I spent a boatload of money, and it was worth it, by the way. Travis Kelce's my brother from another mother, got nothing but love for him.
Then came his verdict on the wedding itself, delivered with the same confident energy Smith brings to every topic he covers. He called it an absolutely fabulous, fantastic wedding, describing it as very touching and very heartfelt, filled with wonderful people from start to finish. He closed by declaring it, without qualification, the greatest wedding he has ever seen, adding that he felt genuinely honored to have been included.
It was an absolutely fabulous, fantastic wedding. It was very touching, very heartfelt. A bunch of wonderful people was there. It's the greatest wedding I've ever seen.
What made the moment even more memorable is that it was not the first time Smith had weighed in on this couple's story either. Long before any engagement was ever announced, he had already been one of the loudest media voices publicly rooting for the two of them, going all the way back to when Travis first revealed on his own podcast that he had made a friendship bracelet for Taylor and never got the chance to hand it over. Smith had reacted to that story with the same enthusiasm he brought to reviewing the actual wedding years later, insisting even then that if anyone had a real shot with someone at Taylor's level of stardom, it would be Travis. Watching that same commentator circle back years later to call the actual wedding the greatest he has ever witnessed felt like a full-circle moment in its own right, proof that his early enthusiasm for the relationship was not just talk. What ties all three of these reactions together is the same underlying theme. None of these people are strangers commenting from a distance. Kylie is literally family. Kittle has built a real personal relationship with the couple through years of shared events, and Smith has been publicly rooting for this exact pairing since long before an engagement was ever announced, going all the way back to when Travis first revealed his failed friendship bracelet attempt on his own podcast. Every single account paints the same picture, a wedding that felt personal and heartfelt to the people who were actually inside the room, regardless of how massive or star-studded the guest list looked from the outside. It is a stark contrast to some of the more skeptical takes that have circulated since the wedding. The ones questioning whether an event this large could ever feel genuine, or whether the sheer scale of the celebration somehow diluted the intimacy most people expect from a wedding day. But when the family member closest to the situation, one of Travis's actual teammates and friends, and one of the most opinionated voices in sports media all independently land on the exact same conclusion, it becomes harder and harder to argue that the emotion on display was anything but real. So here's the takeaway from this entire stretch of reactions. Kylie Kelce stepped up to defend her new sister-in-law, calling the wedding magical while gently shutting down sensationalized reporting without giving away a single real detail. George Kittle offered a warm, detailed account of just how personal the ceremony felt, crediting years of friendship built through Tight End University, and Stephen A. Smith delivered his most enthusiastic endorsement yet, calling it the greatest wedding he has ever witnessed in person. Weeks after the fact, this wedding is still generating headlines, not through scandal or leaked photos, but through the genuine glowing reactions of the people who were actually there. A protective sister-in-law standing up for family, a tight end reflecting on years of real friendship. A sports commentator putting his reputation behind the boldest praise imaginable. Every voice keeps landing on the same simple truth, that whatever happened inside Madison Square Garden that night, it was every bit as real and heartfelt as anyone could have hoped, and that consistency matters more than it might seem at first glance. When three completely different people, from three completely different corners of Taylor and Travis's world, all describe the exact same feeling of warmth and authenticity, it becomes far harder for outside skeptics to argue that any of it was manufactured for show. Sometimes the loudest, most convincing proof that something is real comes not from the couple themselves, but from the people standing closest to them, choosing to speak up on their own.
About a few weeks, maybe a month at most before the wedding, my phone rings. It's Travis. And he goes, "Hey, JT, you're like one of the only people that hasn't responded to the wedding invitation. What's going on?"
Which was a text message.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I would have never imagined. And I said, "Well, Travis, I didn't get an invitation." He goes, "Jonathan, we send you text messages like every 2 or 3 days and you're not responding." And I said, "Oh my God, I deleted it."
It was really fun to watch the cat-mouse game of like, we can tell you roughly where it's going to be. We're not going to say what building. We're not going to say, and we're not. And here's the date. And here, if you're in, we'll tell you more. And I was like, I went to my wife. I said, "Want to go?" And she's like, "Absolutely. We got to be there."
That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.